So in between episodes, I had a goal and a dream to make this area feel alive, come to life, and take a look at what I've done right next to our mean dripstone tower. I mean, it's small, it's quaint. I've got a birch tree in there, a little bit of flowers and bushes, and a small bench so I could stop by and like sleep as well. And same thing on the other side. I got a little like camp zone going on. Oh, I was getting like real creative in here. Also trying to grow a couple more trees around the base because I want it to become lush and alive by the time I'm back from the end today. How you doing, everybody? It's me, Waddles, and welcome back to the Minecraft Guide. Thank you so much for joining me. In today's episode, we're going to take a big, long-awaited adventure off to the end and get to exploring, talking tips and tricks along the way. But however, before we can set off to the end, because this is our first time, we should definitely talk about supplies. Supplies, Bonzo. Get your head out of the wall. I know you're shy, but come on. Aside from that clean set of armor that you've hopefully built up with a little bit of enchantments, your basic tools, that kind of stuff, but probably the most important supply of all time to bring to the end is extra food. And when you think you have enough, you actually need a little bit more. One of the most annoying things is exploring the end, having a lot of fun, you find the city, and then you're like running out of food, and it's a bad situation all around. A huge thing that I like to bring with me on any of my end expeditions is extra paper, because I want to make some maps. We're going to bring a little bit of sugarcane for maps. That means we need, of course, the map making station of all time. And while we're at it there, to, of course, pull it all off, we'll need an extra compass or two. I'll bring extra redstone. A huge thing that I always almost forget somehow, like halfway forget, is extra water. With 2 water sources inside of the inventory, I can create more water so I can fill the entire end up and basically turn it into an ocean, if I wanted. Extra blocks. Oh boy, when you go off to the end, you're going to want to bring extra blocks. Maybe specific types of blocks if you have a build in mind. At the least, things like cobblestone, and definitely absolutely extra wood as well. Now, I've got big dreams for our little world over here. We're going to set off into the end today. We're going to go all the way. With that being said, I want to think maybe a little bit more long-term. So I'm going to look around the storage building and see if I have extra things like furnaces. If not, oh, I thought so. I'm going to bring some extra things like furnaces and stone cutters too. Alright, backtrack, I lied. The extra food is so important, but maybe even more important is extra storage and ender chest. Please, nobody will object to me just to say going ahead and borrow this ender chest from the storage building. I'll go ahead and replace it later. Yeah. Bonzo, I salute you, dear lad. I'm going off to an adventure to a foreign land where you will not be able to breathe. Dear Bonzo, your job is simple, but possibly dangerous too. You're going to be alone in this fight. Oh, no, you will sit here and guard the building. Don't let anyone inside of this place, not even that despicable blue bird. You got it? Now we're going off to a far distant land, so a smart idea is to make sure my spawn is set over here at this base. So that way, when I'm done with the end, I'll basically just end up being teleported right back to wherever I set my spawn. My spawn is going to be that red bed. One final thing I almost forgot, if you're going end city busting today, then absolutely bring yourself a looting at 3 sword as well. This is gonna have to do. Oh, no, it's off to the end for us. I'm thinking about where maybe the closest end portal that I know of is. Well, there's one option and one option only, and unfortunately, tragically, it's nowhere near close at all. It's so far away. So guys, for the longest time, I've been thinking about this behind the scenes. This is the first time I bring it to light, but the end, the stronghold, how they generate, that whole ring situation. Thinking about where we set off to find our first stronghold, all the way back over here at Spawn Sweet Spawn, I feel like with where our other base is, the forever one, well, I feel like there's a decent chance that our new base might be closer to a different stronghold. Granted, the stronghold tragically wouldn't be a stronghold with like a cool skeleton spawner inside of it or anything like that, but I mean, I guess you never know, it might even be within walkable distance of our base. So I guess what I'm saying here is today's question of the day, a big question for you, please help. More strongholds. Should we set out on an adventure soon and find a second stronghold? If so, how should I incorporate that into an episode? What do you think? Or maybe do I just skip it and build a big nether tunnel all the way out to this random stronghold out here? Your thoughts, please. Desperately, I crave and need them. Throw them down below. And so, against all odds, before too long, we've done it. The notorious sky pillar, pillaring all the way from the bottom of the ocean depths. We go down here and smack dab, dead center on the bottom of the ocean floor is apparently a crafting table, but more importantly, the stronghold. Pumpkins, Hey, I forgot about that. That is an option. If you're like really worried about whatever might happen to you with Enderman, a pumpkin is not a bad idea, but I don't need it. It's for the week. Today we jump into the end and the journey it begins. Alright, so first things first, slide into the end and take out the Ender Dragon, of course, to explore. You could technically do it without beating the dragon, but beating the dragon will make your life a whole lot easier, thanks to a little thing called the End Gateway sitting up above the Enderman, making me nervous way over there. Now, before I slide into that End Gateway here, I want to do a little bit of a trick. An idea, a dream that I had. So extra paper, I brought tons and tons of this stuff today. I also brought a bunch of extra wood. I highly recommend bringing extra wood. With extra wood, you can do whatever you want. But anyways, make a map right here and look at how cool that thing looks. I had a feeling that was gonna look really cool. I was hoping it would be centered, but yeah, we got a map of this central end island now. That's so cool looking. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just throw that in the box. We'll come back to it later, get reorganized, and make trap doors. After that, we locate the gateway, and it's time to get a little bit blocked up. I'll be right back. The beautiful thing about the end is, on the central island of the outer island, there's blocks everywhere. I do recommend you bring extra blocks, most importantly wood, but if you don't bring extra blocks, it's no big deal. You take a break, you mine up the blocks, and then you've got it. Alrighty, first things first, we're gonna line ourselves up underneath and use scaffolding to make my way all the way straight up, not off to the side, straight up, ignore that side thing. Once we make it all the way up here, what I want to do long term here is make an easier way up and down. To pull that off, I think what I'm going to do is place a block here and basically just, I guess, build a staircase. Oh, it's beautiful. Really, it's beautiful. You don't have to be too nice about it. I know it. We've got a big grand staircase walking all the way up to this little portal right here, the End Gateway. Now, the End Gateway is essentially a teleportation device that'll send us out to the outer end. You've got two options to get inside of this thing. Option number one, the classic option, take an ender pearl from any of the endermen sitting on the ground and basically throw it into this portal. Option number two, trapdoor trick. We hit that right there, then we can crawl right into this thing. However, before we do that, immediately after we enter it, we need to pause the game, just in case. Look, it's been a long time since that bug's been a thing. I don't know if it's been fixed, but 3, 2, 1, here goes nothing. We enter and we pause the game. We're pausing the game just to give the game a second to, like, load up a space, because sometimes the end would generate. Oh, I'm on top of a tree. That's a new one. I've never had that before. Sometimes, basically, you jump into the end and, like, the end doesn't load, so it just sends you down into the oblivion. Oh, we're on top of a tree. Now, if you please, I want to build it back up. Do you want the staircase up and down, or actually, matter of fact, you're a little bit tall up. Maybe I think I'll just do scaffolding anyways, but either way, I want to set up a little bit of something around you. Oh, and look at the islands. Oh, I'm so excited. It's been so long since I've been out here. This is so cool. This one is like jam-packed in too. Oh, this is crazy. What do I see off in the... it's nothing. Oh, this is so crazy though. Look at all of the islands that we have over here. It doesn't look like anything too spicy right off at the start, but either way, an island is an island, and it looks like we have a relatively small one too. Oh! Don't look at the Enderman. Don't look at the Enderman. Don't look at the Enderman nervously. Alright, so this portal right here, this is going to be our big ticket back home. What we're going to want to do is drop another trap door on this portal so I can leave whenever I'm ready to leave. And absolutely 100% remember the coordinates of this location. 340, negative 1,000. That is so easy for me to remember. However, I'll show you a little trick in a minute. Alrighty, so carefully, we need to get down from this purple thing, the very first purple thing, chorus flower, alien plant, whatever you want to call it. It's mine. This spot right here, we need scaffolding all the way up to the top. And there we go. We'll go ahead and throw a light up here with one torch placed somewhere on this small platform I made. No Enderman will ever spawn up here, so it's kind of like a safe spot, if you will. But speaking of safe spot, here in this distant land, I think we might as well get a little bit settled in. Before our big expedition today, I've got big hopes and dreams for this world. I was thinking maybe a little bit more of like a long-term settlement, a small situation going on over here at the end. What if I maybe, like, to kick it all off, grab a little bit of building blocks, build our little new home away from home out of the blocks that exist here, and maybe, like, they build it right in this corner. Ooh, these Endermen standing all over the place are making me so nervous. Home sweet home. I was thinking, what if maybe we take the end stone and turn it into end stone bricks? That would be cool, and also the first time ever. Then after that, we could, like, say, it's just hard to look around and find a location. Maybe we put, like, location right here or something. We go ahead and do a section of 5. Then I thought maybe we do, like, a 1. Then we go ahead and do another section of 5. I have a perfect vision for a moon base. I feel like legally, obligatorily, we have to make a moon base that is, like, almost like a space station. I was thinking air bubble on the top of the thing. I brought a bunch of glass, and then I was thinking, like, end stone bricks on the side of the thing. I think a size, maybe something like that. We'll put, like, a front door over here or something. I mean, I think this should be good. It doesn't need to be the biggest thing in the world, just a thing. The height of this thing. I think we will make the height of this thing maybe 4 blocks tall. That feels like it'll be good. Now, my #1 end survival tip of all time that's been ongoing is keep your head down, no matter what, inside of the end dimension. Well, oh, watch it, bucko, watch it. As long as you don't look up, you should be fine, and I've got the good armor anyways. But you, friend, you gotta get out of my house. This is my home now, goodbye. Ender chest, sweet ender chest, I brought you along the way. Oh, no. I forgot a huge supply that I wanted, but I don't want to go back. Oh, man, I wanted a map. Item frame. I wanted an item frame. All right, well, thanks to nothing more than an undying stubbornness, one small trick back to the overworld, and back it is. One long trip to the overworld and back, and here I am. I've made it. Home sweet home. Alright, so first things first, over here on the inside of the build, I thought dark oak would complement the outside. That's pretty cool. What we could maybe do in the middle too, I was thinking, is some kind of carpet. Maybe a black carpet, because it's like the end. It matches the sky, kind of. Up here, posted up on top of this thing, I imagine a glass dome wrapping all the way around the top of this thing. However, up here at the tippy top of this thing, I like to do something a little bit different. Maybe to finish it off, we do like slabs, end stone slabs right there, 1 block of glass, and wait, you know what? Let me go 1 more layer. Up here at the very top of this thing, like a Phoebe Bridgers song or something like that, how about a smoke signal right at the top? We put a campfire right there, dead center, and then little campfire trick for you. Down below the campfire, place a hay bale, and the smoke will go even farther than ever before. That's going to finish up the top of our moon base, and I think it's pretty cool. We'll put our workstations inside of the base as well. And this right here is where the water comes in. So check this out, a cool way to make an infinite water source that looks aesthetic. Maybe we put some signs on the front of these staircases, fill water in right there, and then anytime I take from the middle, it's infinite water. I'll go ahead and wrap the signs around the side and make it look good. How about some extra storage? Always good to have. Renewable food. In the end, it can be a little bit tricky. However, sweet berry bushes can grow perfectly fine inside of the end dimension. I figured we'd plant one there because, hey, why not? Wouldn't it be cool to say I have a food farm inside of the end, right? I hopefully won't get in such a desperate situation where I need that for food, but extra food is extra food, right? Back wall, or switch it up. Maybe on the outside, make it look a little bit better. We pop that out and put a couple staircases and maybe even another staircase like that, Maybe a couple more blocks on the front of the build. And maybe over here, we'll throw a little something together. Alrighty, and so, just a little bit of building later, and well, take a look at that. We've got ourselves a small, handy little rover, a little sugarcane farm, not much, but it's simple, and then the grand end base. We walk into this thing, and it's beautiful, it's wonderful. It's almost time for us to set out on our expedition. Before we do that, though, what I would like to do is take this map inside of the cartography table, and first map I think we're cloning in the world. We're going to go ahead and do that 1 time, so I have a copy for back at home, and then 1 copy for the wall right there. That looks so cool inside of here. For hopefully the very final time today, I will go ahead and make myself a map, and then use the map, and just like that, we can see that it's starting to update. The colors are so good inside of the end. Then, right after that, we're going to go ahead and expand this map all the way. Hopefully, all of our expeditions we're about to embark on are going to stay. Yes, I think they will stay on this map. So if I want to get back home sweet home, alive and well, I need to get back to this portal or find another one randomly out in the end. Check out this brand new map that I just made. Instead of having this map be named map, what I'm going to go ahead and name this is end base and then the coordinates of the exit portal. With this thing named like this, no matter what happens, I will never lose the coordinates to where the exit is. Another handy little trick that I could do, though, if I wanted to, is place a banner somewhere, interact with that banner on the map, and just like that, I've got it marked on the map, too. Alrighty, so our expedition today, it has one goal and one goal only: locate the end city. No matter what happens, the end city, it needs to be mine. Take a look at the base right here. It's nice and actually relatively calm compared to what's going on the other side of the island. Endermen, their spawning can be blocked in the end really easily. If you can raise that light level to anything above 0, all Enderman spawns will completely stop. The expedition, it begins. Every single end expedition, whether you're looking for an end city or just looking around, begins exactly the same. Get to the outer end, establish small base camp, and then it's time to pick a direction and move. Direction. There's two things I want to keep in mind. This map. I want to try and, if possible, stay on this map for the entire adventure. And then I also want to try and locate an end island to move off to that isn't too far away. So, for example, this one is like the farthest possible option. Meanwhile, directionally, this map, I think we're gonna want to probably try and make our way off into the end of this way. Now, unfortunately, tragically, I think it's a little bit closer, but it's still pretty far away. Either way, no matter what, there's no getting around it. It's time to bridge. Inside of the end, we've got blocks all over the ground. Inside of the crafting table, these blocks can be condensed down into end stone bricks. After that, we can go ahead and chop them down into slabs. If we're going to explore inside of the end and try and explore a long time potentially, then it's slabs. 100% they're where it's at. Also, if you end up making your bridges like in between islands, to get from one island to the next island in the safe way, we're gonna go ahead and take some slabs and basically make a bridge from one island over to the next one. I think probably right here, a diagonal cut is going to be the most efficient. Might be a little bit difficult to run on, but that's a problem for another time. We'll figure it out later. By making our end bridges with slabs instead of solid blocks, we're going to basically double the amount of land that we can reach with blocks, meaning we need to dig out blocks a little bit less, or basically bring a little bit less blocks. By building this bridge out of slabs, hopefully on the lower half of the block, then no Enderman will ever spawn on the bridge. The Enderman could totally still wander onto the bridge. I don't know, maybe they're bored after all. Probably not much is going on out here, but at least they won't spawn on it. But anyways, with that bridge number 1 check done, we've made it to island number 2. All over the end, we have these floating end islands, approximately on the same Y coordinate. That's going to keep things nice and easy. The biggest and easiest way to travel from island to island inside of the end is definitely going to be making those bridges. But if you're a little bit bolder, or the island is maybe a little bit closer, well, check this. Thing number 1, your contributions, they will be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. We get a little bit of pearl. Out of the edge of this island, where I'm about to pearl from one island to the next, I place some markers so I know the way that I came from. Then I take the ender pearl, throw it high into the air, and hopefully I land perfectly smoothly on island number 2. With that marker right there, I'll always remember that's the way back home. So, end city, any kind of end city. The end city. Once we find it, bring a spyglass if you don't have op to find. The end city, once we find it, should stick out like a sore thumb. The end is the most repetitive place of all time, but end city, I'm not seeing anything quite yet. Unfortunately, our trek continues. I think I'll go this way. So a little bit of a fun fact when it comes to the end. When you jump into this thing, you'll be placed at the edge of a void, meaning off in that direction there's no islands, because that direction is back to the central island. For about 1,000 blocks in between this part of the end that we're exploring right now and the central part of the end, where like the end boss battle takes place, there is nothing. It's all just void. It is absolutely possible to cross that void without, like, maybe taking on the Ender Dragon or whatever, but it will be a little bit difficult because you're not going to probably have an elytra or anything like that yet, so maybe just take out a dragon first. So it looks like, I made it to the edge of the next island. Exciting stuff, lads. We've got a little bit more endstone, a tiny bit more purple, curse flint, and then mainly a lot of nothing. The journey continues. Big tip, big thing I recommend doing. Before entering any bridge situation, make sure you have more than enough slabs to make it all the way across. One of the most annoying things of all times is easily running out of slabs when you're like midway across a bridge. No bueno. Oh, that's my bad. Alrighty, so it's action time. Fine, valid. I kind of accidentally removed something from the hot bar I should probably keep on it. And that's gonna be a bottle of water. If that situation, say, happens again, I dump water, stand in the middle of the water, and no Enderman will be able to get me. They're allergic to water. Now, while I run around out here, really, I learned that, wow, I mean, this guess has been a while, and of course, there's been no update in a while to this thing, but There's not much to talk about out here. It's all the same old thing over and over and over again. This needs an update so bad. Like, take what happened to the nether and flip it. Update at the end is not meant to be this barren. Taking a minute and looking around on my map a little bit here, though, I think it might be a valid move to backtrack a little bit. If we go back on this bridge and run off to the island to the right, it looks like it might be a little bit larger on the map. Ideally here, the more ground that I can cover, the quicker, the better. I don't really want to be in this place for very long. Maps are actually, like, such a huge clutch. Maybe I would move that even higher up on, like, the whole, like, supplies you should bring. Because if you're not bringing a map, what you're going to want to do is basically try and memorize the coordinates or, like, the general direction you're going. Thankfully, it's so repetitive, so if you got extra standout blocks, I guess you could drop them down every once in a while, like maybe cobblestone or wood or something, but the map, honestly, is just, like, so much better. With this thing, I can see what I'm filling in and, like, how to exactly get back home sweet home. Is there anything yet? Nothing. I guess probably actually, though, seriously, the bigger the island, the better. It's a whole lot nicer to run around on these big barren islands instead of building tedious bridges above the void that are so stressful. However, controls, accessibility settings, toggle, sneak. Right here, we've got it on hold. That's how I like it, but you could set it to toggle. If I set sneak to toggle, I just press sneak once and I'm good, and I don't need to, like, hold it down while I'm making a bridge or anything like that. I don't like the idea of changing it mid-adventure, though, so I'll put it back to what it was. Well, if that isn't a familiar sight. That little guy right there is Golden End Gateway, and I feel like I've seen one of those things before, except only a million trillion blocks away. Yes, across the end, different end gateway portals are going to spawn. A smart idea, if I had extra wool on me, would be place a banner down, mark it on the map, so then I know, hey, if I want to exit the end, there's a gateway right here. Alternatively, a little bit less exciting, we just write down the coordinate. 274, negative 1800. You may be wondering, you haven't heard about it in a while. The journal that is definitely not a diary, it lives on. I wrote it down inside of that book. If I had maybe a written book, that could be another cool idea, a way to, like, keep track of what you're finding inside of the end. Just write the coordinates down there. Now, unfortunately, it looks like we've met almost the edge of the map. I don't think I really want to go that way. Ideally, remember we said we stay on the map. It looks like that's a big continent, so maybe I could, like, keep going over this way, try to get to that piece of land and see what I can see. But it might be almost time for my secret weapon of mass and city. Alrighty, so it's not looking too hot, at least in the immediate foreground. It's not looking too good over here. We've got a giant piece of land that I could run around on, but tragically, a giant piece of land leaves the map. I got the ender chest with all the stuff in it, so I could really make a second map, but I feel like maybe what we do is we turn. We've got so much land to explore on the map, and ooh, actually, that looks gigantic. Maybe it's not so bad after all. I think I've done it. Oh, I think I've done it. Oh, laddies, I think I've done it. End City Extreme. No, that looks like a big void. It looks like it's over the void, too. So very stress-inducing, very, very terrifying. However, is there a ship? Please, please, dear friend, please give me an end ship on that city. Oh, that's a big city for sure. And it looks like it might be just on the map or something. We're gonna need to, oh, look, another gateway too. That's so cool. So that means we can raid the end city theoretically and get a quick exit. And oh, I see it. That part right there means that there's a ship. Oh, we've done it. And I didn't even need to pull out the big guns. We've done it. It's right next to the void. That's terrifying. Oh, I hate that, but oh, we've done it. Oh, we got to get over there now. How do I do that? That is actually one of the greatest feelings inside of this game, and I feel like, at least to me, because it's like the end is so repetitive and it gets like kind of like mind-numbing or boring or whatever, and then eventually you find something standing on the horizon. It's just like, oh, it just hits. It feels so good. This is amazing. And it's actually, like, in the grand scheme of things, not too far away from like where we started. I mean, we're half a map away, but it could be worse, right? So here's what I was thinking. We go ahead and maybe make our bridge situation coming off of this thing diagonally right here. After that, once we're on land, we navigate over and locate the gateway. Then it's time for the coordinates, and oh, that's so easy to get into too. Look at that. Right there, I can walk right in. Alright, so then after that, it's time we approach the city. Oh, we finally did it. I can't believe it, and I didn't even show you the best trip. Now, all over the end, you're gonna have a bunch of end cities. Thankfully, there's no limit. They're gonna continually generate forever, just like these outer end islands. You could theoretically run in, like, a straight line for 10,000, 20,000 blocks, and, you know, still find more islands and, like, end cities and everything like that. Look at that thing, though. Oh, that's the big kahuna, the real deal, the big prize. We found it. It's gonna be off of the map, I think, maybe. But oh, it's so good. Yeah, that's good. That's real good. That's huge. It looks like it's like barely over the void a little bit, so it's dangerous. But we've got a big funnel room. That'll be fun to check out. We've got an end ship back behind there and a lot of opportunities for loot. The rooms like that are 3-tier, that's going to be a loot room. So we should have a chest in there and there and there. Maybe not the double tier one. I can't remember, but oh, wow, we hit the jackpot. This is like the perfect dream end city of my dreams. But I have another idea. Coordinates. We've done it. We've basically done it. I got the coordinates to this spot. If I can find this location, I could definitely find that location. However, the big trick. Options, video settings. If you have Optifine, you crank that render distance all the way up. If you don't have Optifine, still crank it as far as you can go. On Bedrock, it's kind of beautiful. The high render distance is literally built into the game. You can turn it up. For end exploring, to make your process and your life a little bit easier, turn your render distance as high as you can bear. You probably noticed while I was running around and exploring that I could see pretty far. That's because I play with default to 32 render distance. If you play with lower render distance, do anything that you have to. Maybe even inside of this menu to balance off your lag, you could adjust the simulation distance toggle. Turn that down and your game should run a little bit smoother. If you have to, resort to turning your graphics down to fast. Like anything, literally anything, do anything that you have to do to make it so you can have as high as render distance as possible. The higher, the better here. And so that's it. That's like my #1 ultimate end city finding tip of all time. With a higher render distance, you can see a million times farther. And like I mentioned earlier, end cities, they stick out like a sore thumb inside of this place. So now that I've unveiled that trick for us, I figured it's only fair that I do a little bit more exploration during this time-lapsey bit that you can see right here and try my hand at finding another end city. While I do that, today's comment of the day is kind of like a general life update comment of the day. So a couple episodes back, I think it was the Slime Farm episode maybe, I was talking about Skyrim and how I had like the itch to play Skyrim again because of my YouTube recommended, and oh baby, I went ahead and did it. So far, I started replaying Skyrim. It's like the anniversary edition or something, so it's got some like spicy graphics and everything, and my god, this game is so fun. It's consuming an unearthly, unhealthy amount of my free time lately. It's so cool. So far, I started the game off, and I'm kind of like this, like, mage, archer, uphand, single-handed weapon type of guy, if you know the game, and, yeah, I don't know, I gotta try and, like, figure out what kind of class I want to build. That's kind of, like, very stressful to me, but, yeah, I actually ended up doing it, and it's really, really fun. I enjoy it. 10 out of 10, well, depending on how much time you have, maybe I recommend it. It's cool. You know, I guess while we're at it, another thing that you could consider picking up on your big end expedition is this chorus stuff right here. If I go ahead and break this thing right there, I could actually take this stuff back home with a little bit of endstone and grow the flowers so I could, like, farm it. And meanwhile, if I break the other stuff, I get chorus fruit. And if I eat this stuff, it will teleport me. It's a little nerve-wracking, but it'll teleport me to somewhere else on land. I don't think it'd send me very far, but yeah, it's pretty cool. And so, finally, after so long, but finally, I've done it. Not one, but 2 end cities, all thanks to that super high render distance that I'm running right now. I've found one right over there, and it looks like that one's got a second shot at an elytra too. Whew, that is beautiful. With that, lads, laddies, and lovers, we've reached the conclusion of today's big grand adventure. In the next one, we'll be diving deep, straight into that end city. But for today, breaking into the outer end, establishing a small settlement, and how to find an end city, that's how it's done. A huge thank you to my patrons, the Big Tiny, Awkward Burb, Bixie Phantom, Clayas, Nick C, Arlo, aka Bobby, and MinecraftMojo.com. For the next part of the end, Saga tab like. Patrons get these episodes early, and channel members get world downloads. Next time I see you, I'll be smack dab waiting at the doorstep of the end city. Until then, go have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.